Discovered our quality talk shows. It's time to spread the word to friends, family, and the universe. 24 hours of music and talk. Radio without limits. That's why people keep coming back for more. That's ubnradio.com.
Hey everybody, it is Wednesday, February 17th. I'm Emerson Collins, and you're listening to The Dell and Emerson Show. Straight talk. Real guy! As you can tell as I play both parts, Del Shores is not with us. He is gallivanting around the country. He will be in New Orleans and Natchitoches and a bunch of other places. So to get tickets and see where he is at, head to his Facebook page, Del Shores Fan Club. If you're in New Orleans, make sure you get out and see that show. So it means it's time for another round of The Gay View. And I'm excited to welcome back to the studio, Mr. Blake McIver. Hello, how are you?
Hello, Emerson Collins. How are you?
I'm great.
Oh, good.
What's going on with you?
You know, just living the dream.
Anything exciting you've been doing lately?
Yes, actually, this past week, I did a very fun video for the AIDS Healthcare Foundation's International Condom Day for safe sex awareness. And we did a parody of Justin Bieber's What Do You Mean? And changed it to Wrap Up Your Love.
Oh, now did you wear the little faux goatee?
No, I did not, because in the What Do You Mean video, this was pre-goatee.
That was before he'd made this bad decision.
This horrible
I
choice.
hear you. And of course, we have the People's Couch still running on Friday nights that we are having a blast doing.
New episodes?
And Mr. T, Ashanti Mozelle.
Hello.
Hello and welcome back.
Thank you.
How are things in your world?
It's good.
It's
Everything's
good?
good. Nothing special to report, but everything's good.
Living the dream, doing the day.
Yes, of course.
All right. Well, we have fun and exciting news, and we're going to do a couple of different kinds of topics with these two in the studio. But we'll kick it off with our equality update. And I want to start off with a story that's genuinely important. We've talked a lot about the tactics that bigots will take to oppose LGBT equality. And yesterday, the South Dakota Senate passed a bill to ban transgender students from using school restrooms that correspond with their gender identity. The bill states that every restroom, locker room, and shower room located in a public elementary or secondary school that is designated for student use and is accessible by multiple students at the same time shall be designated for and used only by students of the same biological sex. And they go on to define biological sex as being male or female determined by a person's chromosomes and anatomy as identified at birth. Now, if this bill is signed by the governor, South Dakota will be the first state to have passed this kind of law, heading for a showdown with the federal government, which has determined that this is likely not constitutional. And it's really genuinely terrifying and for LGBT students and particularly trans youth that are vulnerable and at risk to have their identity denied by their actual educational institutions from a state law.
Yeah.
Do we know? I'm sorry, Blake. Do we know why they're the state that has decided to come out?
Just fear-mongering. I mean, they seem to be the ones who have gotten there first and most specifically, and also because at the federal level under Title IX, they've been determining that this is not a valid course of action. Right. So likely this law will be challenged in federal court. But in the meantime, it is the at-risk trans youth that will suffer while they work through the legal process.
Right.
I just wish that we could start putting in place legislation for gender neutral bathrooms in schools.
Yeah.
Like instead of, I mean, this is terrible and but it's like, what can we do about it? You know, we're not in South Dakota.
Right.
But I think one of the issues that we need to work on as a community is passing legislation that gets gender neutral bathrooms into schools.
Absolutely. I mean, they did it on Ally McBeal 12 years ago.
Right.
I mean, I would have loved that. And just as a gay kid in high school, I would have loved to have that option.
Yes. Well, and it is actually relevant and important, and there are things that we can do right now because the governor has not yet signed it. So there are a number of petitions online from the ACLU and a number of other organizations that can be signed by people that live outside of South Dakota to show the sort of national response to this, to give South Dakota a heads up that Mount Rushmore might not be visited anymore if they begin to attack the most vulnerable members of our youth community. So that is a way we can at least make our voices heard, even as non-residents of South Dakota. So check those out. Moving on in equality, there is another county clerk that has decided to engage in some nonsense.
No.
We have a Kim Davis wannabe.
No.
Samantha Brookover and Amanda Abramovich are two lesbians entering a same-sex marriage, and they went to the county courthouse in Glenville, West Virginia, to get a marriage license last week. Well, Deputy Clerk Debbie Allen, which first of all,
that's so
deep.
rude.
it's
That's
so
so
offensive.
rude.
Right.
You can't be a bigot and have the same name as one of the great icons of dance.
Yeah.
No.
Who is a proud supporter of equality
Right,
in all variety
right.
and a champion of art. I
Right.
feel like it's just automatically
It's
rude.
How
horrible.
dare
That's
your
so
name be
rude.
Debbie Allen? Change your name immediately.
Well, this
Go
particular
by Deborah.
Debbie Allen, not at all related to Felicia Rashad,
Right.
brought them to tears when she called them an abomination and told them
Oh.
that God would judge them for their relationship. Now, the West Virginia Gazette reported it, saying that Debbie and another clerk, Angela Moore, said the word abomination was not used and she was not being loud. The other clerk, Angela Moore, said she didn't hear the whole thing, and in her words, because honestly, I didn't care to make eye contact with them. Talking about the couple.
Lord.
Wow.
The clerks do not dispute that Debbie told them what they were doing was wrong and that they would be judged, but that they did not view this as an attack. Debbie herself said, I felt I talked to them nicely. I just told them my opinion. I just felt led to do that. I believe God was standing with me, and that's just my religious belief. But of course, then she continued helping them as she would any other couple, and like... I love that they didn't at all disagree with the idea that, oh no, she said these things.
Right.
She definitely did it, but
They
she
were
did
just
her
happy
job.
about
But she did finish the transaction.
And they were there with
Right.
family, with one of their mothers was there, to celebrate and take photos of this important day for the two of them. And then to be told you're an abomination and you shouldn't be doing this. But okay, here's the piece of paper.
That is so ridiculous.
Ma'am.
Like, there should be some sort of backlash for that. Like, there should
Right.
be some,
I mean, because
consequence.
If you consider, like, if somebody worked at Dunkin' Donuts and you ordered a dozen donuts and they were like, are you going to eat those all yourself? Because that's unhealthy.
Right.
But then sold them to you anyway.
Right, right.
You're not just doing
Right.
your job.
That's
No,
hilarious.
not at all.
Like, that's a lot of judgment
Yeah,
in the
that
middle.
is very
Yeah.
When I go to buy my
disgusting.
Speedos, if they were like, maybe you need more fabric on your swimsuit, but you can buy this one. What am I
Right.
supposed to do?
no.
Ma'am, don't
Right.
ruin my day.
Right.
No, you're supposed to say, that looks great on you, no matter what.
So
Well, and I think that's what she's saying that she did. She wasn't loud, and the word abomination wasn't used.
no, but you're going to be judged, and this is wrong. But go ahead and sign right here.
God hates you.
Right.
Happy marriage.
Right.
And ma'am, Kim Davis, we already done this once.
Right.
Debbie
Yeah.
Allen, we are
Right.
not interested. And I believe that if the real
So
Debbie
mad,
Allen heard about
Debbie.
you, and I do say real Debbie Allen because
Right.
she's obviously
Right,
a
right,
fake one.
right, right.
Yes.
Heard about this, she would fly to West Virginia and let
Right.
Yes,
you have
Let
a
she
you
would be
have
like, you would
it.
hear child all the way.
Right.
of that mind.
Let you have it.
So, still lingering clerks trying to stir up some nonsense. In other West Virginia news, it was a big week for bigotry in the West Virginia.
Wow.
The
Oh,
West
wow.
Virginia House of Representatives voted against a ban on discrimination based on sexual orientation and gender identity by Uber drivers by a 2-1 margin. The Republican Tom Fast, who led the charge, argued, I believe that it is a dangerous thing to elevate as a protected status a characteristic that is a chosen characteristic, meaning you choose to be gay.
Oh, got it.
Yay, science. It's been sent to the Senate without the anti-discrimination language. So basically, West Virginia said, we want Uber drivers to be able to discriminate against LGBT people because that's what we want to do.
But how are you gonna know? So when somebody shows up at your car,
Right.
then you can just drive off on
Well,
them?
I guess if one of those mask for mask gays get in, it's fine. But if one of us gets in and
Right.
40 yards of chiffon flies out of
Right,
our mouth, they
right.
might be
Not
like,
okay.
no, girl, you
So
gotta
you
get
gotta
out.
get out.
But Uber has its own anti-discrimination policy already
Yes.
as a national company.
Right.
It does.
International company.
And they have stated very strongly that they expect their operators of their vehicles under their contracts to
Right.
behave in a non-discriminatory way to
Exactly.
all people. But it's just interesting that that's their policy, but West
Right.
Virginia was like, no, it's fine. You can do what you want.
Right. That's-
West Virginia,
They're out of
I mean,
control.
for
Not
the
having a good
Lord's,
week.
They're having a terrible week.
Child,
Yes.
that whole
But marry your cousin.
side of the country.
But Appalachia. In other conversion therapy news, 4 Democratic members of Congress sent a letter to the head of the Federal Trade Commission this week, urging the agency to take all actions possible to stop conversion therapy for LGBT youth. It was from Washington Senator Patty Murray, New Jersey Senator Cory Booker, and California Reps Jackie Speyer and Ted Lieu. Now, Ted Lieu has been one of the big spearheaders of anti-conversion therapy legislation, and it's interesting because they are asking the chairwoman of the FTC to prevent businesses from counseling individuals to change their orientation or gender identity under the idea that it is fraud. Liu introduced the Therapeutic Fraud Prevention Act last year, which would classify gay conversion businesses as fraudulent and therefore illegal, which is what we saw in the New Jersey case with Jonah last year. And it's a very interesting approach to take this idea that you're committing fraud by saying it's something you can achieve because there is no scientific evidence to support that conversion therapy actually works for either sexual orientation or gender identity. So,
Well, I think it's powerful because what it does is it kind of takes religion out of the aspect, and like
Yes.
therapy fraud is very real, and
Yes.
we
Yes.
can very much say in a court of law, like this is not constitutional.
Yes.
And it's very easy to prove.
Yeah, you're
which
right.
is great.
Very true.
And it's very brilliant to take that religious
It gets
component
muddy when
out.
you start getting, but they're a church therapist, a counselor at a church. And it's like,
Yeah.
ugh, no,
Yeah.
it's all bad.
Yes, we wouldn't let a licensed therapist tell you that they can turn you into a duck.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
So
Yeah, you would have a malpractice lawsuit. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
So, and good work to them from 4 great leaders on this issue. All right, should we flash through the gay news?
Let's
Go
do
ahead.
it.
I always want to
Oh.
rip my top
Wow.
off. You
Did
can't
it.
see it on
Oh.
camera, like Girls Gone Wild. Spring break!
Nice.
Let's kick it off. Sunday was Valentine's Day.
Yay.
How was it?
It was cute.
It was fine.
I didn't do anything.
Well, there you go. That
So it was
works.
cute.
Did you do a little self-care, a little self...
I did. I actually,
Love.
speaking of Ubering, I Uber every once in a while, and Uber was in effect on Sunday.
All right.
I was definitely driving around, dropping little couples off to their destinations.
Aw.
Oh,
It was cute.
nice. That's
It was
good.
cute.
I like that.
It was cute.
Well, Barack Obama tweeted something that was sort of amazing, in the incredible statements that he has made on behalf of marriage equality during particularly the second term. He tweeted, "No matter who you are or whom you love, celebrate Valentine's Day with pride. #LoveIsLove," with a graphic attached that said, "Spread the love, celebrate marriage equality this Valentine's Day, and stand up against discrimination."
Nice.
I just thought it was really,
Really cool.
great
It's
and a
really
really
good.
cool message because he was also in town in LA last week, which I'm
Right.
so you know because you couldn't drive anywhere.
Exactly.
was
Which
a
is
mess.
President Obama, I love you, but don't come to town that often because everybody forgets how cars work and there's
Right.
Obama traffic,
Obama traffic
the Obama
is
Nation.
so real.
but-
What's going to happen when he moves to Palm Springs? Is
Oh,
it just going to be
Lord.
gridlock all
Obama
the time?
traffic
Oh,
is just
Palm
like
Canyon.
all
Can't
day.
drive. Well, he was in town and he appeared on Ellen and he said to her, "I cannot tell you or thank you enough for what you've done for the gay community, so thank you." One of the things I'm proudest of, because my whole political career has been based on the idea that we constantly want to include people and not exclude them. How do we bring more and more people into opportunity, success, and feeling hopeful about their lives? And he told her a story about driving over to the studio and talking about how important her actions were. He said, "I really mean that. You being willing to claim who you are, that suddenly empowers other people. And then suddenly it's your brother, it's your uncle, it's your best friend, it's your coworkers, and then the attitudes shift. And the law is followed, but it started with folks like you. I'm so proud of you."
Oh,
Which is
that's
so
beautiful.
true. You think what Ellen does every day on her talk show is amazing, and she's a wonderful forum for people to talk about things, and it's fun and delightful, and she says important things on occasion as well. But go all the way back to that Time magazine and her coming out, and how iconic and important it was, and what an impact it had on her career as an actress. That
Right.
she's reinvented herself as this icon of talk, but that she was willing to risk so many things long before so many other people to stand up and stand out. And I sort of love that she thanked him and he turned around and thanked her because that's
Well, she's made a huge difference. I mean, she reaches people. She reaches such a wide demographic. People
Right.
that were probably, so scared of the word lesbian.
Right.
Yes.
That now watch her show all the time.
Absolutely.
Like, it's
Right.
fantastic.
Right.
yeah. All right, the big news this week, and with the two of you in the house, I'm super excited to talk about the Grammy Awards.
Oh, my
were on
God.
Monday night. Now, I think they actually started 2 years ago and finished at about midnight on Monday.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it did seem to be the longest music show in the history of live television ever.
true.
Definitely
That's
was
true.
very solemn.
What
It
did
was
you
very-
love? What did you hate?
I hate. This is one thing in general that
Go
I'm
ahead.
going to
I
start
can't
off with the
wait.
hate.
I can't
Preach.
wait.
I dislike. I won't say hate. That every Grammys show is slow songs, ballads.
Oh.
I need up tempo. Taylor Swift did "Out of the Woods," which is kind of mid tempo, whatever.
medium
But most
tempo.
of the live performances were slow.
Right.
I know that's got to be painful for people who are in the audience watching that because
Right.
that is boring.
Right.
It's boring. I need more energy. for our
Because
next
everybody wants you to give you a I can sing power
Exactly.
ballad type
I
moment.
don't
Well,
need
and the
this.
producers are leaning into it because they're like, this Grammy moment presented
Right.
by this Grammy moment. We're about to have a Grammy moment.
Exactly.
Yes.
It's like, well, you can't. No, Grammy moments happen when you don't expect them to happen.
Exactly.
That's a
Yes.
moment. You
True.
can't reverse engineer a Grammy moment.
Right.
Sure.
You can't plan
Like
for it to be a
Adele.
moment.
No.
Yeah.
So we started off with Taylor Swift in her Anna Wintour cat suit, giving us
Loved
the best
it.
Mall of America
Gave me the
performance
business.
ever.
Gave me the business.
I will say, because I'm not particularly a Swiftie.
Right.
I like the really, really early stuff, and
Right.
Shake It Off drove me crazy. I enjoyed this sort of more dance pop number. I'm not gonna lie.
I feel like she has grown more confident in her stage performance.
Yes.
And each time she gets a chance to perform live, it gets better to watch.
Right.
Because she ruled that stage and she walked around the stage like she's been hanging out with the Victoria's Secret models.
Right. Well, she
You know
had.
what I
Well,
mean?
she had.
No,
There it
that's
is.
what I'm saying.
Yes.
It showed. Like she was
I don't know.
very
It
on.
It still reeks of inauthenticity to me.
It's not
I
authentic.
it's
I don't
like-
think
it's
it's
like,
definitely not. That's
I'm
what saying.
cool.
She's
I'm
hanging out
cool.
with the. She's putting herself in the company of people to get her to where she feels like she needs to be. That has nothing to do with her trying to be fake or phony or anything. That's who I want to. What I'm trying to emulate at
Right.
this moment.
Now,
and then she stole that girl's haircut. The little Bob, the model, the Victoria's Secret.
I mean, I feel like they
Well,
all
it
stole
was giving me
from
Anna Wintour.
From
yeah.
Anna Wintour.
Very Anna Wintour, but she's been hanging out with that girl. I can't think of what her name
don't
is
know.
right now, but she had that bob. They've been kicking it. She's in the video and all this Bad Blood video, and now she has that bob, which looks great on her. I'm sorry,
Can we talk about
the
for a
cut.
minute the what she wore seems to be representative of a thing happening in fashion in the moment, where it's like we got a bodysuit mostly visible with some extra fabric on it. Carrie Underwood sort of wore the same thing. Like I got a bodysuit swimsuit with a baby doll dress over
Right,
it.
right.
What is this? Like, are we going to 1992 where you got a
We are
bodysuit that snaps
definitely
underneath
in
your vagina?
We are in the 90s as far as
it's
fashion is
sad.
concerned.
Do you like it?
I enjoyed what Taylor Swift wore.
Was it because of the color block though, more than the like?
I think it was the whole look,
Okay.
the stage, the woods in the background or whatever.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Yes.
her whole imagery worked for me with that outfit.
Any other outfits you loved?
It was hard to.
What did you think of Andre's floor-length feather coat with her flat shoes?
I lived.
I don't.
I
First of
lived.
all,
I lived.
I don't like her.
Oh, really?
I don't.
What?
I'm
Oh,
sorry.
I
I
do.
think
How can you
she's-
like Taylor Swift and not like Andre Day? It's like
I'm
I don't
a
even
pop
know
queen.
you.
I love
Fair.
pop. I
Yes.
love pop.
Yes.
So it's different. I can appreciate her voice. I can appreciate her style. No, I can't.
Oh,
I
oh,
can appreciate her voice. I can appreciate her style of music.
Right.
I can't appreciate her fashion style, her sense of style.
See, for me, it like
it's
she
dated, it's late.
She
She's
represents
late.
everything that I love about music.
Yeah.
like it's everything matches. The look
Yeah.
matches. The voice matches.
Yeah.
Like she's the anti Swift.
Yeah.
Like she is so
For sure.
authentic.
For
Like she is
sure.
so knows who she is, and I love
Well,
her.
in talking about pop, though, I thought Demi Lovato's Lionel Richie moment was one of the best moments of the night.
I agree.
Brilliant.
I agree.
In that white jacket with the
Yeah,
statement necklace
all
and
of
just
it.
sang her face
That's
off.
all you have to
and
do.
Lionel seemed to be thoroughly enjoying
loved
her.
Oh,
her.
he
her
was.
audience.
Yeah, he was thrilled.
He loved it.
I also love Tori Kelly.
Yep.
Tori-
I love
No,
that with the
I don't
guitar.
like her.
But she's more in the pop, like pop with some soul.
She not giving me anything.
Oh.
I've mentioned this before when we talked about Tori Kelly, and I apologize. She has a great voice. She can play the guitar.
Just doesn't move you?
She does not move me because
Okay.
she doesn't open her eyes.
Oh, it's all for her.
It's all inside.
Singing to my
Even
inside.
when she was singing to the guy,
I get that.
she never looked at him.
Right.
The whole
Yeah.
time she was in her head, even on that commercial that she's in, her eyes are always closed. How do I connect with you? That's why she didn't win American Idol. Wasn't she on American Idol?
She didn't make it to the finals.
Yeah,
she
she didn't.
auditioned.
Exactly.
Well, let's talk about two of the
Gotta open your eyes.
biggest moments of the night. For me personally, the live Hamilton performance from New York, from the theater
Oh,
where they do the
love,
show,
love.
was one of the coolest things in modern music.
Love.
Because musical theater is treated as this sort of bastard child. You know, Simon Cowell on American
Oh,
Idol
yes.
saying
Made
you
it an insult.
You sound
Right.
too Broadway.
Right.
And to see Lin-Manuel Miranda, who has brought hip hop and R&B
Yeah.
to Broadway to sort of reinvigorate
It was dope.
Broadway in this sort of diversity approach to musical theater, and see that performed live and see him rap his acceptance
Yes.
speech,
Yes.
which meant that Broadway musical cast recording was on the live telecast for the first time in
Ever.
who knows how
Ever.
long.
No, ever.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like, legitimately ever.
That, like, the musical theater
amazing.
queen of me loved that.
And I'm not such a musical theater queen or a musical fan like that. I think the first musical that I really got into was Rent.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
But that that performance made me want to go see that play.
Well,
for sure.
I think his work is a lot like Rent with In the Heights and now
Yeah.
with Hamilton. What he's
Yeah.
doing is bringing an incredibly new idea to Broadway in the
Exactly.
same way that
For
Jonathan
sure.
Larson and Rent did in '96.
Absolutely.
sure.
And what I love about his work is that like it's such a great like splice of each genre. Like
Yeah.
it's not just like, oh, we're just doing hip hop
Hip-
on
right.
Broadway. Like there's still something authentically
Yeah.
theatrical about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But it's cool and it's relevant.
Well, because I think lyrically he brings like rap and almost Gilbert and Sullivan patter song
Yeah.
together, where it sort of is between the two. That's a real obscure musical theater,
Yeah.
but that sort of
Like
blends
old
the
operetta.
two
Yeah.
with Broadway. And then I have to say that my favorite on the stage performance was Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Everything.
It
Like
was
that,
everything.
the visual component,
Yes.
the way he blended the two songs
agree.
together, the way we started with the
Yes.
sort of jail sale perception, and then the lights flipped, and the same clothes became the celebration
Exactly.
of life with
Exactly.
a sort of very positive message in this
loved it.
ongoing conversation about diversity and Black Lives Matter. I thought it was
And took us back to the homeland with a big bonfire. I mean, it was
Exactly.
just
It was
moving.
everything.
It was so
everything.
moving.
Yes.
Yeah, I totally enjoyed that. I felt like it gave him an opportunity to kind of how Beyonce did with this past video, kind
Yes.
of make a stir in the community and get people excited and aware. I think that was the other performance that really got me, was as far as energy was concerned.
Yes.
Was his and Taylor Swift's, and I think that's why I felt like we needed more of that.
of that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, what do we think of Lady Gaga as Bowie?
I loved it.
I
was here for it.
enjoyed.
Yes.
You don't have to agree.
No. I enjoy Lady Gaga. I just felt it was a little extra.
Well, it was interesting. Some people,
Very
said
extra.
it. They tried to do too much, but I loved the visual, doing the video screen in her face.
That was amazing.
And running off stage to do the video projection. I
Amazing.
just felt like, it may not have worked for every Bowie fan, but it was definitely in the Bowie spirit.
Yes, for
You know,
sure.
she
For
really
sure.
felt like she was doing her version of an inspiration of him rather than just doing her
Totally.
on
Right.
top of his music.
I agree.
Right.
Which felt like a
And
great
it was,
tribute.
I don't know, I just loved it. Down to the appliques on the jumpsuit. Like everything had a meaning. Everything
Yes.
was representative of an album or
Yeah.
iconography. It was just, I thought it was lovely.
Yes.
I think she's brilliant.
And finally, we all heard Adele go through it with what she explained later was the microphone and the piano fell onto the piano strings, and we were hearing the hammers and the pedal hit the
Right,
piano strings.
right.
But she tweeted about it afterwards and said, "That's what happened.
Whatever,
Shit
shit
happens. I'm going to
happens,
In and
right.
Out," and I was all the more in
Love
love.
it.
Well,
Love
Th-
it.
That she wasn't like yelling at people or blaming, and like they should have, she was like,
I
"Well,
mean,
shit happens."
She got through the song, so it was like
She did.
It didn't even matter.
But she had that look in her face, like I'm about to shark
Somebody
myself
about to get something,
because there is
right.
something wrong,
Yeah.
and I can't stop.
'Cause
But
her
like,
eyes
ooh,
got
did I
super
fart? Did I
big.
shart?
Right.
Did I what? That face.
Well, and my anger with the producers is all of the great singers, aside from Gaga, that performed on that stage, they all put them on that stupid little round platform that they were having to put things on and off. And like, no wonder the mic fell on
Right.
the keyboard. Like
Right.
that was a
Right.
huge grand piano that 5 minutes ago, it was those screens with
Right.
Andra Day and like Ellie Gould. Like, no, put the real singers on the real stage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
And well, but
That's
so
a great point.
but
Yeah, I
Adele
didn't think about that.
brushed it off, went to In and Out, and
Right.
then
And then she went to Disneyland
Yeah, I
with
saw
her
that.
son, and she let him dress as Princess Anna from Frozen,
I love everything about
which
that.
is just so great.
Like,
And she looked like a hot wreck.
Yeah.
Like she could not be
No
bothered.
makeup,
I don't
But
care.
her son
Yeah.
was done, honey.
Yeah.
I
That's
love
great.
that, and it also worries me that we're not going to get another album for 10 years because she's going to do this tour, do this album, then be like, I'm going to go raise my kid. I'll see
Right.
y'all in a decade.
It's true.
I like the idea of tailgating the Adele concert though, since we
yes.
can't afford tickets.
Yes.
Like we should really tailgate.
Just sit in the parking lot at the
yeah,
Adele concert.
and play the
That's
album in
our
the car.
plan.
Like I think it's great.
All right, well, flashing
That's
on.
hilarious.
While I've got the two of you in the house, let's talk a little fashion, because y'all know that all I do, the way I buy clothes is if they make extra smalls, I'm probably going to buy some.
Oh, God.
But the two of you are much more knowledgeable, interested, experienced, and opinionated
Fashion.
on the world of fashion. So, as
Okay.
New York Fashion Week has been happening, shall we kick it off with Yeezy Season 3?
Oh my god.
Kanye West fashion show. Thoughts, feelings on the 2-hour extravaganza at Madison Square Garden with 300 models, including Naomi Campbell?
I'm gonna let Blake start.
I mean,
with that.
okay, it makes me mad. I guess because Kanye's black, I guess I can't pull the appropriation of culture card. However, I can pull the appropriation of socioeconomic status card. Because he said that the whole thing was inspired by a refugee camp in Rwanda.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, okay, so you're profiting off of suffering. basically,
Right.
and then making a gazillion dollars off. Like, the whole thing pisses me off.
And also, off of that, isn't there a weird thing about people paying $2,000 for a sweater that looks like it came from a refugee camp? So
Exactly.
only really, really rich people are walking around looking like
Exactly.
refugees in America.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's awful.
Like, I don't know if we're creating awareness or at some point just looking like you're making fun of like poor people and
Exactly.
refugees.
That's what it looks
It's
like to
bad.
me.
That's exactly what it
Like,
looks
I get
like.
inspiration in art, but I just don't know that we need to see the Amber Girls walking around in a $2,000 sweater
Right.
that's got holes in it
Right.
and looks like a potato sack. Didn't
Right.
we already do that with Rachel Zoe and the Olsens?
Yeah,
right?
Like, we did that phase.
We
Yeah.
did it.
My favorite part, though, of the whole show was the list of rules they gave to the models, and I just want to share a few
Oh.
with you. The performance rules. Quiet, please. No whisper, no smile, no dancing, no sing unless instructed. No eye contact. And I love the ones that contradict each other. No acting, but stay in character. Show pride. For movement, natural movement. No fast movements, no slow movements. No sharp moves, hold your position, but if you want to move, you can shift your weight. Loosen up, no stiffness, do not be casual. Tell me what that's supposed to look like. Tell me what that looks like. And do not look at the camera. Do not take off your clothes or shoes. I feel like a model should know that at this point. Do not ever look at the Jumbotron. And finally, the most important rule, do not break the rules.
Oh my
So
god.
ridiculous. And then didn't Kanye say that he wrote these rules?
Yes, or
He's
something.
Like, that's how you know I wrote them because
Because there was some
typos,
misspelling errors.
Girl.
So that and he continues to give us gems like the misogynistic lyric about how he could have sex with Taylor Swift that I did think she responded to quite eloquently
Yes.
in her
Yeah.
best album speech. I did love
agree.
that she came prepared. I understand the arguments of many people that they didn't feel like it was the best album of the year, but I did like that she got up and said, "I got here through my own work. You did not get me here
Right.
by coming on stage with me at an awards."
Exactly. Did
Yes.
I felt like Taylor Swift had one of the hottest albums of that year so it was rightfully awarded to her.
Well, and it's interesting because when it comes down to the best of anything, when it's art, at the end of the day, it's subjective.
For
I think
sure.
some people's objection is that she has become a focal point for the fact that there are a number of incredibly respected black artists that have not managed to win best album, that is a category that is predominantly historically white. But I don't know that you can't blame any single artist for a historical problem.
right,
No.
exactly.
But
her outfit was so hot.
so there it is. Any other things happening in fashion y'all want to jazz about?
Interestingly enough, and this is going to
Yes.
sound so basic, but
Do
like
it.
I have been watching New York Fashion Week through Lady Gaga's Snapchats.
Yes.
Perfect.
Because she's got the greatest seats in every show, so
Amen.
I feel like I've been there.
Yes.
Right.
We've seen some really incredible stuff on
Yeah.
Gaga's Snapchat.
Yes.
It's very exciting. What I like is that there's a lot of like pop art happening in fashion right now.
Yes.
Which
Oh,
is
that's
exciting. Big colors, bold, neon. The silhouettes I'm not feeling so much because it is that 90s kind of baggy, and I don't like any of that.
boxy. No.
But I'm
Yeah.
excited about the colors.
I look
Yeah.
like I can't. I wear those kind of clothes that look like I'm drowning in a moo-moo. Like it just doesn't work for me.
I will continue to dress like it's 1962 and just
Perfect.
everybody else can deal with it.
And I will continue to dress like extra smalls are available. Like, because that's my truth. All right, flashing on. Over the weekend, Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia died. And there was immediately a strong reaction to the situation. A number of people sort of proclaiming that it was a good thing, a number of people saying you can't take advantage of a tragedy, and let's not politicize an event. But I have to say that I fall on the side of when an important and currently relevant political leader, active political leader, dies, the impact of their legacy is something that's immediately relevant. Certainly, if you are friends with their family or anyone that knows them, you can express your condolences and be sensitive to how you discuss it. But to the wider culture, it's immediately important, as we saw Saturday night in the GOP debate, as they have suddenly decided that President Obama should skip the last year of his term and not nominate another justice.
right.
Ridiculous.
And just a reminder for our listeners, as we've talked over the years, Dustin Lance Black tweeted, "I'll never forget watching Scalia in person at SCOTUS spinning in his chair, laughing after claiming gay people make inferior parents." This was during the marriage equality Obergefell case last year. And a reminder of some of his quotes about our people over the years. Homosexual sodomy? Come on, for 200 years it was criminal in every state. He basically compared it to murder or animal cruelty, since they all involve moral disapproval, saying, if we cannot have moral feelings against homosexuality, can we have it against murder? Can we have it against other things? basically saying if we legalized homosexuality, we'd have to legalize bigamy, same-sex marriage, adult incest, prostitution, masturbation, adultery, fornication, bestiality, and obscenity. And finally, my personal favorite, many Americans do not want persons who openly engage in homosexual conduct as partners in their business, as scoutmasters for their children, as teachers in their children's schools, or as boarders in their home. Now, openly engage, if it's in your bedroom, that's not openly engaging. And second of all, if you replace homosexual activity with black or Jew or any of another number of minority characteristics, I don't think we would find that acceptable.
No.
This man was one of the leading conservatives in our legal system, and I do not think it's necessary for us to tap dance on his grave, but I don't think that we should look through rose-colored glasses at the impact of a man who did his best to stop equality in many arenas during his time on the Supreme Court.
I can't remember who I saw tweeted it first, but my favorite tweet about this was somebody said, "Bye Scalia is the new bye Felicia," I can get behind that because that's kind of neutral.
Yeah.
Well, and also,
girl, bye.
My reaction in the moment was not particularly charitable either, because I wanted to do like a Maria from West Side Story parody tribute, like Scalia. We just lost a judge named Scalia.
Nice.
Say it loud and there's music playing. Say it soft because the bigots are praying. Scalia. That was but I didn't do that the day after. I waited a respectful several days in order to share my parody. Certainly it's sad for his family, but hopefully whatever happens, I think that we can end up with anyone, even the slightest bit more moderate, will be, I think, in the best interest of equality for many different groups of people, not just LGBT
It was
people.
very ironic because I found out that he died while I was filming that video, and I was surrounded by condoms and AIDS Healthcare Foundation.
Well,
in peace.
Other political news, a new poll has come out of South Carolina, where we are headed for the next round of primaries, and a poll of likely Trump voters. Almost 1 in 3 Trump voters said that they would be happy to ban gay people from entering the United States. 1 in 3 people who would vote for Trump would just ban us all from coming here.
Wow.
They switched over to the Muslim topic. 80% of likely Trump voters support a ban on Muslims. 62%, almost 2 out of 3, want a database to track all Muslims.
Wow.
40% want to shut down all mosques. 1/3 think Islam as a religion should be outlawed.
Wow.
And then, and as terrifying as all of that Islamophobia is, nearly 38% of them wish the South had won the Civil War.
What?
So that's who's voting for Donald Trump in South Carolina.
Holy Lord.
I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. But, I keep saying, we've talked a number of times when you guys weren't here, Del and I have, about I think the best thing that's happening out of this current Republican crisis is I think it's important for those of us on the left, which I think we all generally lean that direction, to be aware that these opinions on the far right end of our country are held by what is not actually a small group of people.
Right.
And for better or for worse, we have to engage with each other. We have to talk about these things. We may have to angrily argue about some of these things, then educate each other and drag each other kicking and screaming into the modern era. But I think it is eye-opening and important for us to realize these opinions are not held by just a few random people.
It's really easy to hear in Los Angeles to think that everybody thinks left.
Exactly.
Well, or that even conservatives are reasonable,
right?
In our perspective, they're small government conservatives, or there are many conservatives that are socially liberal, but that there are a not small group of people that have extremist visions of what they think our country should be doing, and they do get to vote. They are here, and we can't just ignore them. I think we have to engage.
We have to deal with it.
All right, flashing on. I found this story incredibly sad. Brian Cody was a math and physics teacher at a charter school in Little Rock, Arkansas. He stayed home sick one day in September, and while he was out, a coworker called to let him know that a video of him and another adult male partner having sex had been posted on the school's website.
Why?
Well, it seems
that's ridiculous.
that someone hacked into his Dropbox account. They changed the name of the folder to Fag Teacher Bray, showing that it was clearly with malicious intent about his homosexuality. Right. Well, he met with the school principal and the executive director to explain what happened. On the day the video posted, someone began sending texts to his students calling him a fag and that the students should see the video. He said he was not surprised when they informed him that they had no choice but to fire him because he'd lost his authority with the students. However, he believes it was unfair that they refused to provide a severance package and suggested to the school community that he was at fault for what happened.
Oh,
wow.
And this is the part I found gross. The school filed an ethics complaint against him with the Arkansas Professional Licensure Standards Board, which could have revoked his teaching license, saying he was at least somewhat responsible for the posting. The board determined that he wasn't enough evidence of a violation to suspend his license. But that means the school went out to say that he was partially at fault simply for having this video that he shot himself or with a partner. Now we can certainly argue about the whether it's smart or not to make this kind of video if you're in a position where you work with young people, but nonetheless it was a private video.
That's neither here nor there. There's nothing illegal about that
on a private account. But and it reminds me, have you watched the show American Crime?
I was just going to say, it was on the tip of my tongue.
Yep.
This season, for those of you that haven't watched it, American Crime is a brilliant, dark, terrifying television show that this season is exploring sexual assault between two male students at a private school here in the U.S. Felicity Huffman plays the school
headmistress,
the CEO, president of the board, doing actually this kind of thing to protect the school's reputation in the best interest of what they think is for the full body of the school. And it seems like this is what this school did. They probably filed this suit with the licensor board in order to not pay him severance, in order to have a reasonable backup for why they fired him rather than just we fired, if they got a determination in their favor, it would probably preclude a lawsuit from him for being fired. And it reminded me so much of the show.
Totally.
It's
very similar.
Very similar.
And it's really sad because he said, he wasn't particularly out at school, and that he is currently in the process of finding another job. He says he was told the school reported it to the police department and the FBI, but when he contacted the police, he learned there was no official report by the school. It's so American Crime.
That is so gross.
Well, if you're
blackmailing,
interested in supporting Brian Cody Bray, this teacher in Arkansas, he has a GoFundMe campaign at Brian Cody Bray, GoFundMe.com/Brian Cody Bray. He's raised $16,000 for his living expenses. Nice. But I have a number of friends that are LGBT teachers. I have friends in Texas and Dallas that are teachers that are not particularly out at school. Some of their coworkers know, but the students aren't particularly aware, just so they don't make waves. They're not bringing their personal life to work. And in conservative communities, here are these educators that want to do well, that want to teach our kids. They don't get paid enough. They're under all this pressure.
Sure. All of it.
So if you want to support Brian, because I have a soft spot for LGBT people that choose to engage with youth and raising the future of our country.
Absolutely.
Whitney Houston taught us the children are our future.
Teach them well.
All right. In other news, Down Under, in Australia, there's a youth organization, and I love this story, called Minus 18 that is running a formal dance for LGBTI kids called the Same-Sex Gender Diverse Formal 2016.
Okay.
Basically, LGBTI kids can come with the partner of their choosing, wearing the dress of their choosing, that there is no standards to conform to. You can be who you are and come with who you love or who you want to be at a dance with, or you can come by yourself in a very, very comfortable space where you can be who you want to be and have a great time.
Right.
Well, there is a Facebook group called the Stop Safe Schools Coalition that started a campaign to get people to buy up all of the cheap $10 advance tickets. They said, please go and buy a ticket or tickets. The more tickets are sold, the more youth we protect. They are non-refundable, unfortunately, so if you are then unable to attend, you can get your money back or a ticket sold to someone else. Basically, they're trying to buy all the tickets so that these kids that should actually be able to go can't get the cheap tickets. That's their goal. And so, but Minus 18 has been working hard and working around the situation. So in response, it is possible for anyone anywhere to donate $40 and sponsor an LGBTI student to make sure they can attend. They've nearly reached their $15,000 goal, saying these tickets will be used for kids who reach out to them to attend. Aww. So the organization has made a workaround where if you donate $40 to their organization, they'll guarantee that there are still tickets reserved and available to any student that reaches out to them and says, we want to come. So
that's really great.
Sorry, bigots who wasted a bunch of $10. So if you want to sponsor a kid, go to chuffed.org, CHUFFED, chuffed.org, and look up Same-Sex Gender Diverse Formal 2016. And for $40, you can make sure that a kid gets to go. And a bigot's wasted $10.
Well, and what's great about that is that wasted $10 still goes to the great organization. Exactly. Like they're still making money, which is fantastic.
So it is an exciting win-win, in my opinion.
Yes.
All right. Also, flashing on, Tom of Finland. Do we all know Tom of Finland?
Yes, we
know
do.
those. He did all of the extreme, like hyper masculine drawings of like the guys in leathers, the guys on bicycles, and sailors and cowboys, and sort of that sort of look from the 70s.
Got it.
Well, a biopic about the actual artist Toku Laaksonen who was actually Finnish, obviously, known to many as Tom of Finland, will be directed this coming up with the blessing of the Tom of Finland Foundation. The story covers his return from World War II to Helsinki in Finland to find himself persecuted for his homosexuality. He had secret affairs, he was pressured to marry a woman, which led to his art as an outlet, and this art became hugely popular worldwide for gay men, and I think it's a really great story to
It's
tell.
really interesting, and what I love about it is the guys that actually run the Tom of Finland Foundation, they still live in Tom's house in Eagle Rock.
That's amazing.
Or not Eagle Rock, Echo Park. And it's a museum to his greatest works, and they actually have functions there. Like I've kind of wanted to go to one of them.
Yeah.
It's like it would be really fascinating to see the house. And Rizzoli in New York just published a book about the house, which is very cool. So
That's
there's, like, a
amazing.
photo
Nice.
book.
And these images really are iconic. I think a lot of
Yeah.
people in their early coming out at some point come across these images. Certainly with the internet, much more is available now.
Right.
But early on, and particularly when he was doing the art, they definitely represented. And I think at that point, it was the idea that you could be gay and masculine, because the light and the loafers, sort of that perception of obviously gay people.
Right.
This was counter to that. And of
Right.
course, now, funny enough, we're fighting back against the mask for mask domination
Right.
that sort of community created. But he was certainly an important figure in LGBT and particularly art for gay men. So I think that should be a fun movie.
Yeah.
I'll see it.
I'm excited
Absolutely.
to hear who they choose to play.
Tom, right?
Right.
In other news, Alan Cumming is working on a penis documentary.
Oh.
What you
Why?
say? Notorious bisexual, not notorious, just famous. He's not negatively. To me, I always say
Well
notorious
known.
in a positive way,
Yeah.
but I know for
Right.
some people it's
It's not.
negative.
Yeah,
I mean it as a
totally
good. So I
negative.
just mean super famous, well-known bisexual. Alan Cumming is an intactivist, which is a group of people against circumcision, and this documentary is to dispel the myths about cleanliness, allowing adults to make the decision to be circumcised or not, rather than what they consider to be an infant amputation.
Right.
So it explores and challenges the idea many of us have been raised with that circumcision is the norm. I actually think it's a really good idea for a documentary here in
Yeah,
America.
sure. I
because
agree.
for a long time that was the idea, right? That circumcision was about cleanliness, it was about
Right.
protecting yourself against STIs. But when you think about it, it is a decision that parents making for a newborn baby child to amputate a part of you
It's
that
a
is
piece of your
healthy
anatomy that you don't
Right.
get a choice over.
and functioning, that we should certainly be having this decision. I think
Right.
a lot of people may think that they are more attracted to circumcised penises because it is what you encounter
the
most
norm,
often in your
right.
development,
Right.
as opposed to the fact that it actually matters one way or the other.
Right.
And let's be honest, with Alan Cumming involved, it's got to be entertaining and a delightful
Exactly. Oh
my gosh,
exploration of the
yes.
subject.
For sure.
Well, they are doing an Indiegogo campaign that is about half funded for the finishing funds for the documentary. So if you want to support them, go to Indiegogo and you can. I assume you can just put in Alan Cumming. I thought I had the link,
I
but I don't.
love the title of the documentary.
Yes.
Pigs Without Blankets.
Pigs Without Blankets.
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
So we know there will be a healthy dose of humor.
Yeah.
And
For
yes,
sure.
and stand-up comedy in a discussion that's actually really important.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, flashing on. In Trans-cetera news this week, in addition to the South Dakota bill we talked about at the top of the show, iconic Andy Warhol muse Holly Woodlawn, we all know, passed in December. She was one of his muses, and in addition to her important contributions to art, her philanthropy will live on because $25,000 from her estate is being used to establish the Holly Woodlawn Memorial Fund for Transgender Youth at the LA LGBT Center. The fund will benefit Trans Pride LA, Trans Lounge, the Transgender Economic Empowerment Project, and Trans Healthcare Services. Which is really amazing. She was an important figure. She talked often about the struggles that she encountered as the daughter of an American soldier and a Latina mother in Puerto Rico. And her name, I didn't know this part.
I didn't either.
Her name came from seeing Breakfast at Tiffany's, that's where she got the holly, and from seeing a Woodlawn sign on an episode of I Love Lucy.
Wow.
That's amazing.
I
love
just
that.
Sort of
That's
find that
awesome.
sort of fascinating. But so, an iconic art figure who definitely struggled at periods of her life as well, both before and after her collaboration with Warhol, after her death, continuing to pave the way for the next generation of trans youth. And that's amazing.
That's
love that.
amazing.
I love that.
All right, shall we check in with some crazy?
Let's do it. Stay crazy.
There is the Texas State Board of Education election happening, and Mary Lou Bruner, not to be confused with Mary Lou Brenner,
Right.
Mary Lou Henner.
No.
Or Mary Lou Retton.
Or
like there was just so many
many
confusing Mary Lou
Lou's.
moments here.
I mean, Bruner.
Mary Lou Bruner is running for a seat on the Texas State Board of Education. She is considered a strong candidate after working 36 years in East Texas as a teacher, counselor, and educational diagnostician. She posted on Facebook last October this miraculously ridiculous quote. Obama has a soft spot for homosexuals because of the years he spent as a male prostitute in his 20s.
No,
Lord.
lady.
I mean, I don't know what else there is to say.
Mary Lou.
But this woman wants to be on the State Board of Education in Texas. And for those of you who don't know, the State Board of Education in Texas is actually extremely important because of the size of the student body in Texas. The decisions the Texas State Board of Education makes have national implications because what they decide about textbooks impacts many textbooks nationally because the textbook creators craft their books in accordance with often the Texas rules because that's who will buy the most textbooks, and then other schools are stuck with the same textbook. So this woman, now she deleted the quote. She has said that she'll apologize for anything that wasn't correct, but when she was asked specifically about this post and whether she still believes the president used to be a gay prostitute, she said, "You are obviously a hostile and biased reporter pretending to be a friendly reporter to gain my confidence. The interview is over."
Mary Lou.
So she didn't deny it,
so
and this woman is apparently
silly.
well in the running for being on the
That
Texas
That's
State Board of Education.
horrifying.
And finally, Franklin Graham. We talked about him last week, and he continues to be giving Pappy Robertson a run for our most talked about spot this year in Checking In with Crazy. He gave a speech saying the following. "Could you imagine the impact if every community and every city across this great land of ours was run by Christian men and women in that office as mayor?" He was said that 90% of Christians didn't vote in Charlotte, North Carolina's election, and we got a woman and her goal is the gay lesbian agenda, trying to get transgenders into the bathroom so that if a person wakes up in the morning and they feel like they're a woman that's a man and he wants to go into a ladies' restroom, then they can do that, and that's her goal. And I can tell you right now that that's wicked and that's evil. Men belong in men's bathrooms and women belong in women's bathrooms, and we don't need men and predators going into women's bathrooms. I'm just telling you. Now that's what happens when Christians don't vote. That's what we get. This is the kind of garbage we get.
Oh.
Now I'm going to go out on a limb. Thank you.
Yes.
And say that the mayor of Charlotte, North Carolina, her priority is not getting predators into bathrooms. And once again,
predators.
using this myth that we have often talked about, that trans
Right.
people have the hardest time going to the bathroom of any of us. And once again, all they want to do is get into the bathroom, use it, and get out.
Exactly.
It is not an exciting place for them. It can be a
No.
damaging and triggering experience, actually,
Right.
for many of them because of the fear related to being clocked or, accused or being
Yeah.
spoken to. They just want to use the bathroom. And
So
Franklin,
much anti-trans violence has happened in bathrooms.
yeah. So, Franklin Graham. And finally, because Ashanti wanted to talk about it, what's gay in sports ball? They had an all-star game.
They did
And you
over
wanted
the
to talk about the
weekend.
fashion. Do tell.
Well, it's not so much that I needed to talk about it, but I was able to watch part of the festivities over the weekend. And the people who were not participating in a particular event, basketball players, none to say, they filled the front row, and it was just like a fashion lineup. They all had on something that I needed to have in my life.
Oh.
A jacket. All of them had on really hot jackets. First of all, because they were in Canada, so it's super cold, and probably a lot of them were getting used to what was going on. But
Right.
the coat, the fashions, I loved. Love.
Well,
Was really
who
great.
knew? I didn't
I
realize
wish we
sports
had
ball
pictures.
fashion was such a big thing.
So I take
Well-
it they weren't wearing Yeezy season 3.
No, they weren't. They weren't. But Drake was actually there, and he was very, excited because of the things taking place in Canada, and he's from Canada, or he's Canadian, I should say better. But it was a nice feast for the eyes as far as fashion was concerned to have the men kind of dressed up and like really
Yes.
going in and
Love that.
telling you a sports
giving
ball
you
fashion story.
giving you some business and not just letting the ladies have that moment.
Well,
So-
I miss that because let's be honest, the only version of the basketball sports ball that I pay attention to is the 5 or 6 seconds of it that happen every Monday night on VH1's Hit the Floor.
Oh
That's
gosh,
That is the
well,
only
that is the
basketball sports
truth.
ball that I
That
pay
is
attention to.
hilarious.
And I'm just there for the dances and the ladies.
That's
let's be
I mean,
honest.
true.
because
And
then we
some of
get
them
dances and
bodies.
gay kisses and all
And
kinds
Zood,
of
I'm here for Zood.
Zood.
Zood, that's my story. If you haven't genuinely, seriously seriously, we had them on the show last year. Of course, we all know Catherine Bayless, our dear friend of the show, and from Sorted Lives, the series, is on Hit the Floor, and we had Brent on the show talking about his gay character, and it is a great show. Check it out on Monday nights.
Yes.
That's our show, ladies and gentlemen.
Hooray.
Wow.
As ever and always, you can find Blake McIver on the internet. Where?
Yes, you can find me at Blake McIver. Everything's at Blake McIver.
And T. Ashanti Mozelle, where?
Ashigram. That's my Instagram. I'm on there sometimes.
Yes.
You might be able to find me. And Facebook is T. Ashanti Mozelle if you need to be in touch with me.
And as always, you know you can hate tweet me at Actually Emerson,
Always.
Emerson Collins on Facebook and on the Instagram. And John Williams, since we are a little right on time, I want to say a special thank you to you for all that you do to make our show
Yes.
happen every week. You guys, Del Shores is out on the road, so make sure that you head to the Del Shores Facebook page and get tickets and see where he is going to be in a city near you. He's out of town again next week, so I will be back again on the Gay View with Ashanti and some other guests.
Yay.
So make sure that you stick around. It is a great day on UBN Radio. Up next, On Air with Tony Sweet. After that, Jasper Cole. And wrapping up the evening, as always, our dear, beloved Ann Walker. See you next week.
Woo.
Okay, bye.
Welcome to the new sound of online radio. Welcome to the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network.
You make me feel like I've been locked out of heaven.
A mix of today's hits and hard-to-find favorites, combined with the most entertaining and intriguing talk anywhere. This is your sound. This is the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network at UBNradio.com.